Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Before we get started on today's video, please like, subscribe, and comment all your suggestions down in the section below. Now in this video, we're going to be doing the best case scenarios for Republicans in the Senate and in the House of Representatives. Keep in mind, this is strictly theoretical and these are not my personal predictions. This is not at all what I think is going to happen. This is what I think is going to be the best case scenario for Republicans on both the chambers of Congress. And we're going to begin, as we can see here, with the Senate, and we're going to go through the margins, the same margin as always. We're going to have our safe column, our likely column, our lean column, and our tilt column, but this will be the best case scenario for the Republicans. Now you can go check out my most recent videos for my official prediction for the Senate and the House to see what I believe is going to happen. And this best case scenario basically outlines the best that the Republicans can do, like the best environment, the worst environment for Democrats, and all of that. And this is going to be more realistic. It won't be like a hypothetical scenario where it's unrealistic. It'll be the best case hypothetical scenario where it's technically realistic, and it could maybe like a few percent chance that it could happen, but it's not very likely. Anyways, without further ado, let's begin. I'm going to outline some states that'll still be safe Democrat in this best case scenario. It's going to be the states of California, which would be on the lower end of safe, and the states of Hawaii. We're still going to have the states of Maryland, Delaware, the states of, sorry, not Maryland, just Delaware, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Vermont, and the states of New York. These will still be safe no matter what happens. And in the Republican safe column, we're going to be adding a couple. We're going to go through the rest that are going to be safe over here. All of these from usual. West Virginia, the flip. We're going to be adding Texas and Florida. Texas and Florida have been pretty safe already. If we already look at the polls over here, we can see that Florida already, Scott has a pretty decent lead. And if we go to Ted Cruz, he also has a very, very decent lead. So in a best case scenario, both of these would definitely be safe for Republicans, and it would put them at 50 right away, and Democrats at 36. And now we're going to go into some likely states for the Democrats, and these will be the states that will go between 6 and 12 points. It's going to be the states of Washington, which there hasn't been too much data, Minnesota, New Jersey, and the states of Maine. So all these states will go into the likely column for Democrats, and Minnesota on a normal scenario would be safe, as we can see from these polls. But in a best case scenario for Republicans, it would be likely. Same thing in New Jersey, but New Jersey has a possibility of being likely because there will be three candidates going against each other. We have the Democrat, the Republican, and then the incumbent Democrat Menendez, who is running for third party. And right now, polls do have it pretty narrow. But right now, I'm going to put it in the lean column. And in Maine, obviously, Angus King. I think he's going to win by a safe margin. He could. But in the best case scenario for Republicans, he'll win in a likely margin. And for Republicans in the likely margin, Montana and the states, I think just Montana to be in the lean column for Republicans. Right now, it is pretty narrow. There was a poll that came out that had Sheehy up. I don't know why it's not included, but this will go in the likely column for Republicans in a best case scenario. And for the lean states, the Democrats are going to have the states of New Mexico, Virginia, and the states of Maryland. These will be in the lean states. New Mexico, Virginia are pretty self-explanatory. Particularly, usually they'd be likely states, but in this scenario, they'd be moved down to lean. And in the state of Maryland, currently it is considered a toss-up. Hogan actually leads by 6.5% because he had led the previous three polls, and then the latest one has also Brooks up. I don't think he has big chance to win. I think in a best case scenario, also Brooks will win by a few percentage points, and that'll be it. And for Republicans in the lean column, I would have the states of Ohio and Nevada go in the lean column for Republicans. Ohio, because Trump's going to win the state by up to a safe margin. I have it at a safe margin right now. And then in the Senate, Brown currently does have a 5-point lead. I expect this to continue to narrow as the cycle goes on. And in a best case scenario, I think that Moreno would win by a few percentage points. Same thing in Nevada. I think it's a very close race right now. And actually, the latest poll has by New York Times. Santa has it as a tie. I think this race is also going to narrow up a lot in the polls. And there is a chance that Brown could win. Right now, I think that the incumbent, Rosen, is favored. But in a best case scenario, I think that he would win narrowly. And now we're going to come down to the states that will go down the wire. And first, let's get the tilt Democrat states out of the way. Number one, this would be the state of Pennsylvania. I think, still in the best case scenario for Republicans, I think Casey would win. Very, very strong incumbent, performs well. He's won a lot of elections by pretty decent amounts, if we can see here. There was quite a few polls taken. He has a very, very consistent lead. I don't see a scenario where McCormick would really have too much of a chance to beat him. Now, different can be said about the state of Wisconsin. I can see that even though the polls are so strong for the Democrat, I still see there's a chance in a best case scenario where the Republican would win. In the state of Michigan, we can see a very narrow race as well. And I think also in a best case scenario that the Republican, not really known too much, trying to get his name out there, Rogers would win. And this is an open seat as well. So Slotkin is not the incumbent. This is going to be very tight. And I think in the best case scenario, he would win. And also in Arizona, I think in the best case scenario, Lake would win very narrowly. In a normal scenario, I do not think Lake's going to win. I think Gallego's going to win. These polls are very, very favorable for him. But in the best case scenario, I'll give her the win. And this will get Republicans to 56 and Democrats to 44. And, now we're going to move on to the House of Representatives. And right now, this is the consensus 209 to 201 with 25 toss-up seats. And we're going to go through this map. All right, so let's begin this best case scenario map. To begin with, Mary Peltola will definitely lose in the best case scenario for Republicans. In the Arizona's first, Republicans will hold, as well as the sixth. In all of these California seats, every Republican will hold in the best case scenario. No questions about that. In California's 47th, Katie Porter did retire for the Senate. She did win narrowly in a district that is pretty favorable for Democrats. I think in California's 47th, that the Democrats would end up losing this seat in a best case scenario for Republicans. I think in Colorado's 8th, such a left-straining district, I think Democrats will still hold by a narrow amount. Connecticut's 5th will be very, very narrow, but I still think Democrats will hold. Iowa's 3rd, Republicans will hold. I think all of these districts will stay the same. Jared Golden, I think, will go down in a Republican's best case scenario. I think Slotkin's seat, she is retiring. It will flip, as well as Michigan's 8th, especially in a state that I think will swing towards Trump. It will definitely have some down ballot effects that will help Republicans for sure. Minnesota's 2nd, I see staying narrowly. I would have Don Davis's seat flipping in a best case scenario for Republicans. All these seats will automatically be flipping due to North Carolina's redistricting. In Nebraska's 2nd, obviously, I think Don Bacon would hold in a best case scenario. I think Pappas would still hold, but I think that Tom Keene, usually I'd have him losing his seat, but I think he'll hold it in this scenario. In New Mexico's 2nd, I think that in a best case scenario, that Vasquez will still hold by a very narrow amount, especially in a seat that went to Biden by 6. I think it'll go to Biden by a more narrow amount, but I still think he'll hold. And then now in a lot of these New York seats, I think still Despacito will lose. However, I think Lawler will hold, Pat Ryan will hold his, and then Molinaro will hold his seat as well. I think that Brandon Williams will still lose his seat in a best case scenario for Republicans. And then moving to some of these Midwestern seats where Republicans can definitely gain the most. To begin with, Capter, she's going to lose. Sykes will lose. I think DeRammer will hold her seat in a best case scenario. Susan Wild will definitely lose her seat, as well as Cartwright. These are seats in states that I think will trend right, and especially where Donald Trump performed a lot better than these Democrats. Like, this margin is very, very crazy, and this will not happen again, especially in Ohio and then Pennsylvania as well. And then going down, I think that Jen Kagan's Keegan's will hold her seat. I think Spanberger will also hold her seat. And then in this seat right here, it will flip Republican in Marie Perez's seat. I think it'll change Republican. And then this will be the total. This will be the final over here on this map. We're going to have 231 for Republicans, 204 for Democrats. And this is what it would look like. There is a scenario where I think that Republicans could possibly stretch it a little bit by flipping over here in New Mexico's second. There are other scenarios. I think, they could make this district, some districts in Nevada, much closer. I don't know if they have a possibility of flipping them, though. And then I see there's a chance of them flipping Illinois 17th, Minnesota 2nd, but these are stretches, of course. Same thing with Virginia 7th, Pennsylvania 17th. There could see a scenario where we see a Republican win in still Desposito's seat. Could see a scenario where Pappas loses his seat. But right now, this is my final map. 233 for 202 Republicans. Best case scenario in the House. And the reason why I wouldn't predict a higher margin is because, well, it's a presidential year, so there isn't going to be too much ticket splitting. In states that Trump will do well, he will gain seats: Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Iowa, and Minnesota. I think, the best scenario would be him gaining a lot here, but in a lot of Democrat strongholds up here and over here in the West, it'll be hard for Republicans to gain since ticket splitting is very rare nowadays. And there's a lot of seats that are already shored up in Texas. There is not really much to gain upon because every Democrat seat that is held is safe. Same thing in Florida, same thing in Georgia, North Carolina. There's not much to gain apart. Well, North Carolina from the redistricting, but there's not much competitive districts. In Illinois, there's a lot of gerrymandered safe districts, so there's not much to gain. And that, I think, will do it for this map. So all in all, we have Republicans at 56 seats to 44, and then Republicans at 233 to 202 for the House. This is all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment down in the section below. I'll check you guys out in the next one.